Microsoft has just secured the biggest bag in gaming history with a nearly $69 billion acquisition of Activision Blizzard. This was challenged in the courts and was ruled in their favor now, which is pretty crazy stuff. And a lot of people have brought up various different questions. One of the first questions being, of course, does this give Microsoft a monopoly? Well, that's what the court ruled against, saying that it's not a monopoly. Obviously, a absolutely massive juggernaut willing to fork over a measly, $69 billion to acquire this. This is the biggest acquisition by a long shot, both in gaming and in the tech industry. That's pretty crazy stuff. Other questions that people have brought up is, will Diablo 4 be on the Game Pass? And we actually have a response to this from one of the general managers of Diablo. So they said no plans for that. And obviously this could change later. This was back in March of this year. So that was 4 months ago. They said there's absolutely no plans for Diablo 4 to be on the Game Pass. However, that could change. You never know. And I'm sure some people would be looking forward to that. The question that I posed and brought up just as a bit of curiosity is, did Bungie get bought by the wrong company? Did Bungie get bought by the losing company? Like, obviously Sony acquired Bungie for $3.6 billion, which at the time sounded like a lot. But now that we're dealing with, $69 billion acquisitions, that's like a chump change. I wonder if that's what the end result will be, or if eventually what will happen. I imagine Microsoft offered Bungie at least $5 billion. Maybe they chose to go with Sony due to the fact that they get their own freedom in their publishing rights and creativity. Like, Bungie can literally do anything they want. They don't have to succumb to any sort of PlayStation requirements. They get to self-manage them and everything. So I imagine $3.6 billion with complete creative freedom is nicer than having some weight and leverage being put on top of you for Microsoft for the price tag of who knows what. Only time will tell if Bungie was bought by the wrong company. I don't think that Sony is dying or anything. It's just an interesting topic of which company is just an absolute juggernaut at this point in time, and that's obviously Microsoft. We actually got a response. We actually have a statement from Bobby Kotick here, and we'll read this. Bobby Kotick is the CEO of Activision Blizzard, so his statement is obviously very relevant in these matters. His response was, today a U.S. federal judge ruled in our favor, denying the Federal Trade Commission's attempt to block our merger with Microsoft. We're grateful to the court for the way this process was handled and the thoughtfulness of the decision. The U.S. joins the 38 countries where our deal. These decisions are based on facts and data that show our merger is good for players and competition in the industry. We're optimistic that today's ruling signals a path to full regulatory approval elsewhere around the globe, and we stand ready to work with UK regulators to address any remaining concerns so our merger can close. Continue to keep you updated on our progress. Thank you for all you do for our players, for our company, and for each other. So obviously they're having issues with this merger passing in the UK, and it making progress in the US is probably a good sign that it will pass in the UK as well. You never know though, but it seems like that's the goal and the game plan that they have. We have the actual ruling from the court here to read. This is from the court that approved the merger. This court's responsibility in this case is narrow. It is to decide if, notwithstanding these current circumstances, the merger should be halted, perhaps even terminated, pending resolution of the FTC Administrative Act. The reasons explained, the courts find the FTC has not shown a likelihood it will prevail on its claim this particular vertical merger in this specific industry may substantially lessen competition. To the contrary, the record evidence points to more consumer access to Call of Duty and other Activision content. The motion for preliminary injunction. So they believe it's not going to halt competition, doesn't give them a monopoly. Anything this is going to benefit the consumer. So let's all go. Very interesting stuff. Let me know your thoughts about Microsoft's massive acquisition, and make sure to subscribe and follow if you want to stay up to date on all the news. See you in the next one.